Here's a look at the Borg Sphere expansion. Some interesting, cool new mechanics that came with this one. We'll get to most of them at the end of the video. I just want to show you the stuff that came with it first, and then we'll talk about the new stuff. But we'll get right into it. There's our dial. Love the Borg logo. Always have. First thing you're going to notice is the unique type of movement, the left and right straight movements. It's part of the new special rules, so we will talk about that when we get to it. There's our Borg Sphere. And you can see there the odd maneuvering. Definitely a fast ship, faster than I expected with 4s around. But interesting style of maneuvering, and we will talk about that at the end of the video. Here we have our Borg Sphere 4270. It's our unique version. Got a 6 attack, 0 agility, 7 hull, 7 shield, which are nice. There's our new Borg upgrade slots, which we'll get into later. Tech slot, weapon slot, and a crew slot for 40 points. You get a target lock, scan, or regeneration, which is another new thing we'll be talking about. And the special ability is really nice. Each time you attack with your primary weapon, you may divide your attack between 2 different ships. You may divide your dice however you like, but you must roll at least 1 attack die against each ship. A very interesting thing on that, it was in the FAQ from the developer that if both targets that you choose are within range 1, you get the bonus die for each ship. Whereas if only one is in range and one isn't, you'll get the bonus die against the ship that's in range but not against the one that isn't. So good thing to keep in mind when you're splitting your fire at close range. You can do some really lethal damage. Then we have our standard generic Borg Sphere here. You lose 1 shield, you lose the tech upgrade, and of course the special ability. And we have our Borg captains. We have a tactical drone, and they don't actually have a captain skill. It's another one of the special rules that we'll be talking about at the end. But just 3 points. This one starts with a captain skill of 4 with 4 drone tokens. And you can spend one of your drone tokens to re-roll any number of dice during an attack. And then we have our generic drone, who starts with 1 drone token, and he's 0 points. And these little markers up here are our drone tokens. And they have our captain skill on one side, and then a number on the other. This is your number of remaining drones, and that's your current captain skill. For our crew upgrades, we only got 1 for this expansion. We've got 7 of 9, which is unique. All Borgified. 4 points. And as an action, you can disable this card to add up to 2 drone tokens to your captain. You may not exceed the starting number of drone tokens. So kind of a nice, it lets you regenerate the amount of drones you have after you use them for some of the abilities. For weapon upgrades, we have the cutting beam. It's 8 points. Massive 10 damage, range 1. It's not as good as it looks because it requires a combination of other cards. In order to use this attack, you already have to have your target hit with the tractor beam. The target ship must have the tractor beam token beside it. Where is it? You disable this card to perform the attack, and it can only be purchased for Borg ships. 10 dice is a very powerful weapon, especially when it's reusable, unlike the transphasic torpedoes. But the requirement that you have to be in range 1, you have to hit them with the tractor beam, and then you can hit them with this, makes it somewhat less useful. When your original attack on the sphere alone is already a 6. If you're attacking at range 1, you're already rolling a 7. A lot of people use a flagship card on the sphere. You're already getting an 8 at that point, so the extra 2 dice for everything else just isn't worth it. Next up, we have a feedback pulse, which is our tech upgrade. It's unique. This one I like. I'm glad they made it unique. It's 8 points. When defending before any dice are rolled, you can discard this card and declare that half the damage of this attack will be cancelled, and the other attack assigned, rest of it is assigned to the attacker, rounded down. You basically get nothing from the attack, and the attacking ship doesn't receive any criticals. It was FAQ'd that the criticals turn into normal hits. It gives you an auxiliary power token, but basically it's a when somebody decides to use barrage of fire or transphasic torpedoes on you and they're rolling that 10, 11, 12 dice, you throw this out there, you take nothing, they take half of whatever they roll. So it's a nice protection. In the very least, just having this on your ship means that they're less likely to fire those kinds of weapons at you. Now we're on to our new type of upgrade, which is limited to just Borg ships. It's actually Borg upgrades. First one here is our Borg tractor beam, and they got the new Borg upgrade icon there. Kind of looks like a microchip. 7 points. This one is you, as an action, you can target a ship at range 1. You place a white tractor beam token next to that ship and the corresponding green one next to the Borg ship. There's a reference card here that goes with the tractor beam. As soon as the ship receives a tractor beam, you disable 2 of the ship's active shields, or if the ship was cloaked, you remove the cloak and raise all of its shields except for 2. So it basically deactivates cloaks, which is nice. When the ship has the tractor beam token, it can't raise its shield or cloak. During the planning phase, the owner may not select a maneuver which is numbers greater than 2, so it slows them down. You kind of know where they're going, which lets you make your maneuver to stay in range, so you can use your cutting beam if you choose. And at the end of the activation ship phase, if the ship is no longer within range 1 of the Borg ship, it loses its tractor beam lock. It's interesting. It's nice to knock out shields. It's nice to knock out cloak. I still say the combo between the tractor beam and the cutting beam requires too much to make it really effective. Next up, we have Borg ablative hull armor. I actually like this better than the ablative armor that the Voyager expansion gets. This one's 10 points. When defending, you convert all of your opponent's hits into criticals into hits, and all the damage goes beneath this card. When there are 4 damage cards beneath this card, you discard this upgrade and the damage beneath it. Any extra goes to the ship. This, you don't have, it only takes 4 damage instead of 5 like the Voyager one, but you don't have to lower your shields to use it. So on top of the 7 hull, 7 shield you're already getting, this gives you an extra 4. And it's not unique, so you can use multiples of them. Now the 10 points is kind of your limiting factor there. And probably the best of the Borg upgrades, and of course the most expected, the Borg assimilation tubules. 8 points. As an action, you can discard this card and discard 1 drone to target an enemy ship within, or actually it's just to target a ship. That came up in a FAQ. At range 1 to 2, you can steal a crew, tech, or weapon upgrade from that target ship, even if it exceeds your restrictions. It goes onto your ship with a disabled token. You cannot steal stuff from species 8472. And the next turn you can spend your action to remove the disable, and you can use that weapon just as if it was your own from then on. And then you use 7 of 9 to regenerate the Borg tokens you spent on this. You can use it again the next turn. It's really, well, in a couple turns, but really an interesting combo. It really fits with the Borg and lets you do some really mean things. And definitely this line where it says target ship, not target enemy ship, because you can swap stuff off your own friendly ships. So upgrades that normally couldn't go onto your Borg ship can be taken off of another ship, say transphasic torpedoes from the Voyager. Then we have, already talked about, we have our drone tokens here, which we'll go over. 2 disables, they give you 7 shield tokens. You have an auxiliary power and a critical. You have a scan. Target lock Y. Your Borg tractor beam tokens. There are Borg tractor beam tokens labeled with an A, green one for you, white one for your target. The fact that they have an A on there leads me to believe that we're going to see more Borg tractor beam tokens in the future. The mission's a really cool one. It's called Operation Fort Knox, based on an episode of Voyager. Your goal is to beam aboard, well, as the Borg player, your goal is to kill off the Federation or assimilate the Federation troops on your ship. The other team is a Federation team, which is basically they're beaming on board to try to steal one of your transwarp coils. Yep, including 1 Federation ship. And it's basically a one-on-one. The ships are duking it out while the battle's going on board. Federation player needs to beam guys over to your ship, gather some items, and then beam back to their ship successfully to win. You just need to assimilate them or destroy them to win. Fun little scenario. The Spear itself has a really nice amount of detail, a lot more than most of the ships. Definitely, same with everything else, could use a little bit of a wash. I actually would think I'd do a dry brush of a metallic on here to get rid of just the plain flat gray they used. There have been some people who said that this ship is sideways, that this should be the top. In a couple episodes, it was shown that way, using the engine on one side and actually sitting this way. But in the movie, where it first appeared, it was this way, having a beam weapon come out of one side and an engine come out of the other. So who knows which way it's supposed to go. Here we have our Borg Sphere 4270 base. Really nice and interesting thing here is this 360-degree arc of fire. Though it is worth noting that it has been FAQ'd, it does not count as a front or rear firing arc. So for certain weapons that require you to be within or without a front or rear arc, they will not work on a Borg ship because it has neither. Just an interesting thing to keep in mind. There's our generic sphere base. You can use it to get around that. So we're going to look at some of the new special rules that go with the Borg, and they come with these cool new additional rules cards. First up on here is Regenerate, which is Species 8472 get it, and the Borg get it. It's a new icon on the action bar of your ship. And ships with that action on their bar can perform the regeneration as an action. A ship that performs the regeneration action immediately repairs 1 damage to its hull, critical or normal. And a ship cannot attack during the turn that it performs this. Now I see that being a lot more useful for the species with their smaller fire arcs. With the Borg, I mean, I could see using it to get rid of a critical, but to give up an action, an attack in a ship that has a 360-degree arc of fire, unless there's nothing in your range, I don't see using that very often, unless it's to get rid of a vital crit. Next thing we're going to look at is the Borg spin maneuver, which is the left or right. Uses the same maneuver templates as the straight. However, before executing the maneuver, you rotate the ship 90 degrees. And it explains how to do it. One of the big FAQ things is that when you rotate your ship, since the bases are not square, you can see how it's slightly off there. If your ship happens to touch something after rotating, it does not count as hitting it. Only the starting position and the very end after you do your move count, as well as the movement, the straight template after. For example, we have our ship here. We're going to go for a 2 to the right maneuver. Now, being that the ship is facing us, it's actually going to be like this. So, first thing you do is you're going to take your 1 template, and it's going to go right here along the front side of your base. And you're going to hold that with 1 finger, and you're going to rotate the ship 90 degrees so that it faces the direction you're going to go. And then we're going to take our 2 straight maneuver here, and that's where we're going to move. And then these will go away. Now, the only thing that matters while you're moving as far as for running over another thing is this template here and the ending position of your ship. The other template you're using to mark the side of your ship doesn't matter if it touches anything. The base, once you turn, doesn't matter if it touches anything. And that's simply how you move the ship. It's basically, the easiest way to think about it is a rook. If you've ever played chess, you're going to be moving straight this way or straight that way. The distance is what changes, but either way you're going to be doing straight or straight. The next new rule is the Borg upgrades. Ships with a Borg upgrade icon in their upgrade bar can be equipped with Borg upgrades. For each icon bar, they can be equipped with 1 matching icon. Basically the same as all your others, your weapons, your tech, your crew, except this is a specific new upgrade that only ships with that upgrade could get. Not really anything new as far as special rules, it's just a new type of upgrade to show up on the bar. Our last special rule here is the drone tokens. The tokens are what you use to keep track of your captain skill, as well as how many drones you're using to do various effects. I'm not going to read this whole thing because it's long and drawn out, but I will show you an example here. This is an example of our setup ship, the way it would be in a game. Your captain has his 4 drone tokens, which represents his captain skill. Next to your ship is your captain token. Nothing's going to be able to affect this captain skill marker here. It's just a reminder for your ship. It's basically the same as the little icon that goes under the ship of your picture of your captain. Things like concussive charges won't let you make you get rid of that. It really does nothing except for be a reminder, so just keep that in mind. The one that matters is the one that's actually on your captain's card. It's right here. Now, every time you spend a drone token, like for example with our tactical drone here, he starts with 4. And he can spend a drone token to reroll. So say we're going to do that to spend our token to reroll. This one gets discarded. You take the top one here, and you're going to flip it over. Now you have a 3 here and a 3 here. If you were going to use it again, you discard this one, flip the top one over, and so on. If you were to use an ability like 7 of 9, who adds tokens back, you do the opposite. You would replace the drone tokens on here up to the current number. You can never go higher than you're starting. So if we were to use 7 of 9's ability to replace 2 tokens, we would put him back up to a 4, and our ship would go back up to a 4 captain skill. And as a little reminder, on the back of them, they tell you which one to start with. So when you're using the captain skill 4, which is the tactical drone, you're going to start with that one. And the same thing is done, I didn't get the other one out, but the same thing is on the 1 token for the captain skill 1. Anyway, that's about it for the special rules for Borg. I hope it explained a little bit. All in all, I think it's a great ship. The Borg are definitely a threat to be feared. I think you're going to see a lot of 2-sphere builds and definitely even some single-sphere decked out builds in the near future. The assimilation tubules let them steal upgrades, so it's a great way to break combos. If you know anybody who uses the Weiyun Shroud cheese, having 7 of 9 on board lets you regenerate drone tokens that you use for rerolls or for the tubules. So definitely a good combo there, and the ability to attack the multiple ships, as I went over before, at close range with a flagship card. You can deal out some massive damage with a decked out spear. So keep on the lookout for those, and we'll see you in the next video.